Good theme for a movie. Nina Parade, Director, Mississippi Film Office. Good morning, Nina. How are you doing?
Good morning, Paul. Good to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Let's see if the throat holds out for another 30 here. I'm looking at the list here of all the productions that are going on, and give us a little bit of a review. What's new? What's the market look like?
Well, first, I want to talk about what I just did this past weekend at the Mississippi Book Festival, where we got to focus a whole conversation with Beth Henley. I'm not sure if you know. Beth Henley is a playwright from Jackson, and she was a screenwriter, too. She won a Pulitzer for Crimes of the Heart back in the 80s. And then she made the film Miss Firecracker from her play, too. And so this is the first time that we've had a conversation with someone like that. And it's just so inspiring. You know, I think there are a lot of people that have no idea of the talent that comes from Mississippi. And so that was incredibly exciting. But we also saw at the book festivals, some folks that are here, they weren't here specifically for the book festival. They were here for films they're working on, and they came to the festival to enjoy it on their days off. So yeah, we're busy. In Jackson, we have 3 different productions happening right now, which is a little hectic. When you get a phone call, it's like, which production is this that needs help?
Yeah.
But we have 2 that are in the action suspense kind of genre, and the other is more of like a comedy drama. So that's really exciting. And those are different budget ranges. So we have a bigger budget, so if you see somebody that you think is a star, you're probably right. You probably are. Yeah. They probably are here in town. And then we have some that are.
Let's take Hotel Tehran, which is going on in Jackson area. Who's
that's
in
right.
that?
What's that? Who's in that?
In that one? Yeah.
Well, I know at the book festival, people were taking pictures with Titus Welver from Bosch. Mm-hmm. So people have certainly seen him around. And then people have seen Liam Neeson around too. So that's pretty exciting.
Wow. 100 Dates is also a name of the movie in Jackson, and it is underway. A little about that one.
That's the one that's more of a comedy drama. The nice thing about all 3 of these movies is these are producers that have worked in Mississippi before, so they keep coming back. And we want to continue that trend. And as they come back, of course, they get to know our communities better. They get to know our crew better. So they start to hire more locals. I'm certain that there are locals that are like, well, why am I not hired? Well, not everybody gets hired on every single one, of course. But we hope that with more work comes more jobs for more people that are here locally. And as those producers, as I said, get to know our communities and the expertise that exists here, there will be more local hires. So we're super excited to have these repeat producers.
Yeah, and I think you had one more called Off the Grid, and it says here Clinton, in the Jackson area.
Right. That's right. It is mostly in Clinton, but Metro Jackson. I think that there was an article somewhere this past weekend or over the week that they were telling folks that streets would be shut down in the next week or so in the Clinton area. So to watch out for those if you are in Clinton, that some streets may be closed for filming. And then we have stuff on the Gulf Coast too.
Yeah. What is it? What's that about, Off the Grid?
Off the Grid also is kind of in the, I would say, suspense, a little bit action, probably more classified in the suspense world, and a little bit of drama there. We seem to be in the action realm right now because the one that's on the Gulf Coast also is action related. And then we have something in the horror genre coming up soon over there on the Gulf Coast as well. And there are things that are following these films. So it looks like we're going to be busy until the end of the year. We have things that we're talking to right now that'll start at the top of the year. So it looks like it's going to be a busy year. And let me say this, I was just in Los Angeles a couple of weeks ago, and I was with film offices from around the world. It's not busy out there in the world. People are really struggling to find work. So I feel extremely fortunate that we have the ones that we have, whether they're smaller budget or bigger budget, all I can say is we've done something right in Mississippi, and it probably boils down to the hospitality here.
Yeah.
Communities want productions there, um, and the visiting productions find that they can work easily here. They can work where people respect their work. They can work without being bothered. So the reputation is out there, and we're just going to keep selling the state.
I don't think that first impression means a lot, and you kind of touched on it a little bit. They come back because they feel comfortable. They know the people will do the job, their work ethic, and all of that matters.
All of it matters. I mean, those soft skills probably matter more than anything. A lot of people can do the technical work, but not everybody has those soft skills, and Mississippians are head and shoulders above the rest in that sense.
You look at the Gulf Coast too, and I mean, from the Gulf Coast up to the Memphis line, we've kind of spread that out all over the state. Laurel, the hometown, it's still going strong. What's the latest there?
It's still going strong. They're finishing up season 8, and they also have a little offshoot show that they've been doing as well. So that's they're renovating a hotel. So yeah, they're just plugging along. I was actually when I was in Los Angeles, I was on a panel talking about unscripted reality television shows, and I got to focus on hometowns. So the whole world got to hear about hometown in the film office world. And that was pretty exciting. There were people that came up to me and just said, I know Mississippi because of hometown. And they would love to see that kind of show in their own jurisdictions, of course. I said, well, yes, and you cannot have hometown, and we want 5 more.
You have been in this business a long time. You've seen the evolution of reality TV and how it's changed from the days back when you had the motorcycle show, Paul Tuttle, and those, and it's kind of evolved over the years, and they kind of run in trends what people want. I noticed that it was one of the car shows. Gas Monkey Garage, that's what it was. I hadn't seen them on TV in a long time. And I happened to Google them up and just to see whatever happened to the guys. And the contract ended. There were some disputes, and they just canceled them. The guy is bigger than ever now, probably twice as big, twice as profitable on YouTube. So they've moved off of that venue and onto YouTube. And you think about that, well, that doesn't help us in attracting new people, but it does. I mean, you could see the same thing happening to hometown once that venue kind of played out a little bit. They still have a possible life after that, sometimes with even more control.
Oh, absolutely. And on the flip side of that, you have people that are on YouTube that build a following, and they start there, but then producers see that they have a following, so then they put them in films or in television. So it kind of works both ways. It's really interesting.
It absolutely is, and if you can monetize either one, certainly it is. But this one, as far as hometown, it really has just changed the whole concept of the state of Mississippi and given us some invaluable, positive publicity that we've needed for a long time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'm out in the world and somebody says, that show Hometown is in Mississippi, right?
Yeah.
They just love it. They love it.
That show is only scripted. And when people say that to me, I said, well, yes, it's only scripted. You would get this if you looked at the unscripted, you would want to watch it because it doesn't flow. There's no music in it. It just has to be put together so it's more interesting, period.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
You can say that about Deadly Catch or any of the other ones. So I don't think we have as many as we used to have a long time ago, but who knows where they'll be in about 5 years. So what do you need the legislature to do coming up this year? Anything next year?
Well, I mean, they've always been very supportive of us. We're busy. We've been extremely busy, and we do run out of money. So like I said, they've been incredibly supportive over the years, and we appreciate that. So last year, we got the extra money for episodic work, so for shows like Hometown.
Yeah.
So we're trying to build that interest to see if we can get more hometowns, or something that's scripted that's episodic would be amazing. That's the dream of every film office around the world, is to have something that's scripted, that's episodic, that's going year round. So I hope that we can get to that point. There are a lot of different things that need to come into play for that to happen. We need infrastructure.
I'm going to ask you about one thing as far as the pandemic is concerned in the final segment when we come back right after this. Nina Parikh, Director, Mississippi Film Office. I got a couple of questions I want to squeeze in here. First of all, for instance, Alec Baldwin, when you have a shoot 'em up in any place, do you have to have people with the police department there? What's necessary from not the film company, but from the local municipality or county?
Well, like a movie that has big stars like that are a union film, usually they have precautions in place. There are people that need to be trained, that are on set, and that they would contact the local authorities as needed based on whatever it was. Oftentimes they're not using guns that would fire. So obviously somebody's not needed on set, but you would have a qualified armorer that's licensed. So there are rules in place. Now, obviously, sometimes those rules don't go as planned, are not followed as planned. But for the most part, if it's a union film, they have things in place to protect.
But is that responsibility lie in any form or fashion with your office or with the municipality, or is it totally on the film company?
It's mostly on the film company, but we've put something in place where we have an acknowledgement form so that they tell us on the front end. We have a whole questionnaire. Are there guns involved in the story? Are there any sort of weapons involved? Will you be working near a railroad? And so we have an acknowledgement form that also advises them, that says, if you do this, then you should do X. So we do have an acknowledgement form. That's not always common, but we took the extra step to do that.
Same for explosives, I would imagine.
Correct. Yes, you have a special effects team that handles that.
I know we spoke during the horrific tenure called COVID, when everything shut down. How in the world did you make it through that? Because, you went from doing, every day it was a madhouse every day to the phone stopped ringing for the most part.
Well, the phone stopped ringing, but I will say that we were in a very special position in that Mississippi was open for business. And while I was having kind of a moral dilemma at the moment of what we're going to welcome people from all over the world here with their germs to come here, what I realized was film companies, more than probably any other industry, they have to be extra careful. They can't afford for someone to get sick. So thinking through that, and I was also watching my colleagues across the nation, across the world. I'm on a board where it's an international board. So I would watch the ones that were like in Eastern and Western Europe and see what they were doing. And I could see the trends happening. We worked with the Department of Health to make sure that, again, similar to the acknowledgement form that we have, for safety, we also came up with, a safety kind of guideline. It wasn't rules, but a guideline, like if you're doing this, then consider this. But, the film, like I said, the film industry, they can't afford for somebody to get sick. Imagine if your star gets sick and suddenly now you're down for 4 days and you have people on the line, they need to be paid. So they're testing all the time to make sure people didn't get sick. So we actually benefited because, one, Mississippi was open for business. Two, the productions were going to keep people safe. So we ramped up, oddly, during the pandemic. Since then, we've had the busiest years in the history of our program. So.
For a boomer, it's kind of unusual to see the decentralization of Hollywood, California, people all over Georgia, Mississippi, et cetera, et cetera. Mm-hmm. Even Mark Wahlberg, who's moved out to, Las Vegas or Nevada. You have people moving to Utah, doing filming there. Even Trump said in one of his speeches that He'd like to open up some new lands for film studios to move outside of Los Angeles and California. Is that trend going to continue to the point where the major studios are just going to move out of that state?
Oh, no, I don't think they're going to move out of the state, but I think there's just so much more opportunity around the world now. You know, we have one stage in Natchez. There are others that have talked about it. I hear about jurisdictions all over the South and all over the country that have facilities being built. There's a whole new world of virtual LED stages that also exist, so that's going to be a new thing. But no, I don't think anything's going away in California. It's just expanding. And you know, we have screens everywhere. We have screens in our pockets. We have the big screen. We have television screens. We have computer screens. Content needs to be made for all of them, and it will continue to be made. Who knows? Maybe we'll have other screens too that need content. So I think that it's just growing all over the world. And my philosophy is, if it's being made, there's no reason for it not to be made in Mississippi.
Good way to end the program. Nina Parikh, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it very, very much. I think we use up all the time we have. See you tomorrow bright and early, 6 a.m. Joe.